my dears. Now we are going to factor by grouping. Here we will solve 10 questions. You can join our school community from the first link in the description section. And from the second link, you can directly access the clean and solved PDF of this document. I will solve them for you one by one now. In my opinion, it's very important that you pause before me and try to solve it on your own. Definitely try to solve it by yourself. All right then, let's get started with the first question. We are going to factor this. Let's do it like this. First, let's carefully factor out the x squared term right here. We're left with x plus 2. Here, let's factor out a 3. Again, we're left with x plus 2. Now, let's factor out x plus 2 as a common factor. So what's left? We're left with x squared plus 3. X squared plus 3. It was asking us to factor it, so this is our answer. Second question, we're going to factor this. Here, let's factor out the a's as a common factor, and we're left with x plus y. Here, we also factor out the b's as a common factor. This time, again, we're left with x plus y. Now, we factor out x plus y as a common factor, and what's left? We're left with a plus b. So this is our answer. We're on our third question. I'm looking here and I'm looking there. In the yellow parts, we factor out x squared, and we're left with x minus 3. In the green parts, we factor out 4. Again, we're left with x minus 3. Now we factor out x minus 3 as a common factor. And what's left in the back? We're left with x squared plus 4. X squared plus 4. These can't be factored any further. This is our answer. For our fourth question, let's factor out x here. We're left with y minus 2. Let's factor out 3 here. Again, of course, we're left with y minus 2. Then we take y minus 2's as a common factor, and we're left with x plus 3. Makes sense, right? This is our answer. For our fifth question, let's factor out x squared here. We're left with x plus 1. Now let's factor out a negative here. We're left with x plus 1. Now we've taken out the x plus 1's. X squared minus, there's an invisible one here, so we're left with x squared minus 1. Since it says to factor here, this part is already in factored form, but it can also be left like this. X plus 1 is here. We can also write x squared minus 1 as x plus 1 times x minus 1. If this is a test question, it's multiple choice. Now for these as well, we can say x plus 1 squared times x minus 1. All right, that was our answer. That was question 5. For our sixth question, here we factor out x squared. We're left with x minus 2. Let's factor out negative 9 in the back part. Here, x remains, so negative 9x, just like here. What do we multiply by negative 9 to get positive 18? Negative 2. So that's where the negative 18 comes from. We already wanted it to be negative 2 because it needs to match this so that in the next step we can factor out x minus 2. With x minus 2 as a common factor, we have x squared minus 9. We can also expand x squared minus 9 as x minus 3 times x plus 3 using the difference of squares. A squared minus b squared equals the difference of two squares, a minus b, a plus b. That's our answer. Number 7. If we factor out x here, we're left with x plus 5. If we factor out y here, we're left with x plus 5. Yes, that's how it's done. In the yellow ones, we factored out x and we're left with x plus 5. In the green ones, we factored out y and again we're left with x plus 5. After that, we factored out x plus 5. And as you can see in the green ones, x plus y remained. That's our answer. All right? Number 8. If we factor out 2a here and here, we're left with open parenthesis x minus 2y close parenthesis. If we factor out b here and here, again, we're left with open parenthesis x minus 2y close parenthesis. Now, if we factor out x minus 2y, let me show it like this. We're left with 2a plus b, open parenthesis 2a plus b close parenthesis. That's our answer. Our ninth question. Here we factor out x squared. We're left with x plus 3. For the terms in the back, we factor out negative 4. Here we're left with x, negative 4x. That's right here. Now to get negative 12 as the product here, what do we multiply negative 4 by to get negative 12? By positive 3. So we're left with x plus 3. Now we factor out x plus 3 as a common factor, and we're left with x squared minus 4. We then expand that as x minus 2 times x plus 2 using the difference of squares. This is our last question here. What can we factor out as a common factor here? There's a 6 and a 9. Both have a factor of 3. I factored out a 3. Both x squared and x cubed have an x squared in them. I factored it out. Where this was, 2x is left. Where this was, 3 is left. Here, I'm also factoring out a negative. Actually, that's factoring out a negative one. We're left with 2x plus 3. Very good. Now, I'm going to factor out 2x plus 3 as a common factor. Therefore, here we're also left with 3x squared minus 1. 3x squared minus 1. If we absolutely have to factor this, we can do it if we want. We can factor it like this. Square root of 3x minus 1 using the difference of squares, and square root of 3x plus 1. This was our last question. Yes, God willing, I will solve lots of questions for you like this, 10 questions at a time. If there are other types of questions you want me to solve, you can write them to me or send their photos. Let me say it again, you can join our school community from the link in the description, the first link. From the second link, you can directly access the lesson where you'll find clean and fully solved PDFs of what I've explained. All right, see you in the next one. Take care.